Welcome to Eventful Endeavors, secrets to crafting the perfect celebration. If you're planning an event and looking for useful tips from industry experts, you're in the right place. So get ready to take some notes and we'll dive right in. This is Eventful Endeavors.
Alrighty. Well, welcome, Becky Kinney. We have Becky Kinney here. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to have you on the podcast. So Becky is the founder and owner of Events to Celebrate, a wedding and events planning company in Van Meter, Iowa, just outside of Des Moines, but she services the entire state of Iowa. She has over 30 years of event planning experience and is a master certified wedding and event planner through the Certified Wedding Planner Society. She just celebrated 10 years in business. Congratulations. And since starting and specializing in social events, weddings have become 90% of her business. But she still does quite a few corporate events, non-wedding events, social events like grad parties, birthday parties, client appreciations, and showers. Welcome, Becky.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited that you're excited. We're happy to have you on. So we'll just dive right in. I've got a few questions about your background. So something that really stood out to me was that master certification that you got. I don't hear that very often. So I wanted to have you go into a little bit more detail about that process and also how that kind of makes you stand out from other planners.
Sure. So when I first started in the business, a little over 10 years ago, I just kind of felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of floundering. Even though I've been an event planner forever, weddings are a whole different animal, right? And I didn't feel
100%.
like I knew exactly. I was kind of charging what I wanted to charge, so I was kind of floundering. So I had joined another group and it just didn't feel right to me. There are some associations out there for wedding planners. And I just kept searching until I finally found the Certified Wedding Planner Society. And they were my people. I'm like, these are my people. It's a fantastic network of wedding planners.
Yeah.
It's the largest group of wedding planners.
Wow.
It's worldwide. And in my area, there's like 4 other wedding planners in the state of Iowa that are all certified and maybe master certified, and we work together. We refer business together, we support each other, we lift each other up, and I think that's what it's all about. But this society has done a lot of training, so there's training every month. I feel like a spokesperson for them. There's training every month for us. We're always learning. I went through the program to become certified, and then I went through the program to become master certified, and it was an extensive training program, and I learned so much, and I just feel like I have a wonderful support system. So that kind of helps us, because if anything should happen to me, I've got clients booked, but if anything should happen to me, I can call up one of my gals and they will step right in and take care of me. They will take care of my clients. They're there for me. And so I feel very lucky to have a group of people that will stand behind me.
That is huge. Yeah. And honestly, one of the biggest reasons we've started this podcast as well. We're trying to kind of pay it forward, lift each other up, help out where we can in the business and in the wedding world. So that's awesome. I love that you found that network for sure.
Yeah.
That kind of then reminds me a little bit of what we were emailing about. You said that you have enjoyed mentoring people as well. Tell me a little bit about that process and what advice you would have for new planners.
So, and I truly in my heart believe there's enough business for everybody. And we should lift each other up and not tear each other down. I mean, this is what we should do. I've got a great network of people that I work with, from DJs to caterers, all along. And we should all support each other and lift each other up. The venue should do the same. And so I have had, over the years, people come to me and say, hey, I kind of want to be a wedding planner. Maybe I want to be a wedding planner. I'm like, well, maybe you should just shadow first, because it is not the wedding planner that you see in the movies. I mean, it is not. It's a lot of hard work.
Yes.
So I always welcome them to come and kind of see how I do things. Not that everybody does it a little bit different, but how I do
Hmm.
things. And I welcome them to come and we meet over coffee. I'll take them to coffee. We'll chat. They'll come to a wedding and see, what I'm doing, and I love it. I love being able to pass
Sure.
on information or start to have somebody start their own business.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And it kind of reminds me, I saw on your website, you have a whole team that works with you as well, right? At events to celebrate.
I do. I'm a single woman show, one woman show here, right?
Okay.
It's my business. It's just me, but I have a lot of gals that do come in and help me because I always have an assistant on day of.
Okay.
My two daughters reluctantly get to work with me. They do. And then I have a couple other ones, and you can see from my website, they all kind of
Hmm.
specialize in different areas, depending on what we need. Now,
Okay.
small town Iowa. I'm from small town Iowa. I mean, it's
Great.
tiny. And so as I started my business, I just thought I was going to be a wedding planner. That's it.
Hmm.
Wedding planner. But come to find out, well, who's going to serve the alcohol? Who's going to serve the food? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? So I started
Hmm.
adding on these little areas. So we do offer some bartending.
Oh, wow.
I don't have a bartending service, but if somebody is able to bring in their own alcohol and they want to have somebody serve it, we certainly can do that. We serve food. We, do a little bit of everything on that
Yeah.
thing, help set up buffets. I work with several caterers that they don't have servers, and so we'll go in and
Sure.
bus tables and do things like that. It just kind of grew into just these different areas that might be needed.
Yeah, sounds like it, like full service pretty much. Well, and I feel
Yeah,
like that's big for couples too. Like there's so much that goes into this day. If you can kind of take, a bunch of stuff off their plate, then that's definitely more appealing, right?
yeah. There's over 5,000 details for every wedding,
Oh my gosh.
and it doesn't matter if it's a wedding for 50 or a wedding for 500. There's
Yep.
still all those details that need to be checked off.
That's wild when you put it that way, but it makes sense. It really does. Um, well, great. So we've talked a little bit then how you got into weddings. I know you mentioned on an email as well to me that you came from corporate events and trade shows, though. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that transition into weddings and more social events as well.
Yeah. Over 30 years ago, I had no idea that my life was going to go where it went. So I took a job in a small trade association. It was a private trade association. And then I ended up being the event planner and the trade show manager and all these other aspects. I had no idea that's where it was going to go. And I found out that I was really good at it. I really enjoy it.
Okay.
I loved doing it. But along the way, over those 30 years, you have friends call you up. Hey, do you think you could help me with my daughter's getting
Totally.
married? Or, we're having a big birthday party. Do you have, And so I started kind of just dipping my toes in this social event world. And then one of my best friends, her daughter was getting married. I said, let me just do the wedding. Let me just try it and see if
Yeah.
how I do. And then that just spurred my whole business. I
Wow.
love weddings. I love the social aspect of it. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
I
I
do.
feel like, yeah, there's fulfillment in both areas, but you get to really see the fulfillment on wedding days, right?
Yeah. Corporate is a little boring. Weddings are
There's a time and a place,
never boring. There's always something
I
that
bet.
goes wrong. Every wedding I do,
Right.
but my job is to make sure that the couple doesn't know it. And
Yes, very
so,
true.
but I couldn't tell you a wedding that something didn't go wrong at it. I mean, I've never had
Yeah.
one. There wasn't.
Right.
The wedding I did
Of
just
course.
last 2 weekends ago, I had the room fully draped. We had hired somebody to come in and drape the room. An hour before the wedding, half of the draping fell.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Did like a company come in and do it?
Yeah, I had a company come in and do it, and it fell. So we're zip tying and duct taping, and we got it back up before the wedding.
Of course. Oh, I bet you did. Oh my gosh.
You know,
See,
so
and that's why.
that's why you have a wedding planner.
Exactly. Just one of the many reasons. Well, that kind of launches actually into my next little segment then. Love to talk about kind of, specific wedding stories and trends and whatnot. So you had mentioned that weddings are not all fun and games. It looks like it in the movies, right? But what usually is the biggest source of drama when planning a wedding?
I have to say I'm very careful on my clients. So I don't just take any clients. I have to really kind of vet them and make sure if I'm going to meet with them in an initial consult and there's some dissension among the people I'm meeting with, they're probably not a great fit for me. So
Totally.
I am very, selective on my clients. But the biggest source is probably, and I hate to say this, the wedding party is a lot of times my biggest obstacle is that
Really?
wedding. Yeah. Because they're very close. I mean, it's such an emotional day, and they're so close, especially the ones with the bride or, half of the couple. They're very close to that person, and they want it to go perfect, and they don't always put their most trust into the planner. And so
they think they can do better.
Yeah. So lots of times the wedding party is one of the biggest obstacles. There's always family members that, create a little bit of a problem too.
Yep. I hear the parents a lot. Yeah. So how do you typically deal with situations like that with, maybe an over opinionated bridesmaid or something like that?
I get hired by the couple and perhaps the couple's parents, so that's who I work for. It's plain and simple. And I do it the way they want it. And I make it very clear. I take on that role of bad guy a lot of times so they don't have to.
Totally.
I'll hear my couple say, "Hey, can you handle that so we don't look like the bad guy?" I'm like, "Sure." And I, that's who I work for. That's who's hired me, and I'm going to do it their way. So, I do appreciate their input, but that's just not how it's going to go today.
Right? Reason number 1,000 that you need a planner, right?
Yeah. It's hard. I try to keep a smile plastered on my face, and if I don't, my assistant always tells me, "You're not smiling enough," and I'm like, "Okay." So I try to keep on with kindness, and we get through it. But there's always somebody. Always somebody that
100%. Yeah, I get it. I do. Go ahead. Right. Yes, I agree. But I do wedding hair as well, along with this position as well. And yeah, there's always somebody, the aunt or something, always has an opinion, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, great. So let's talk about some trends that are happening in weddings right now. I feel like a lot of couples are trying to like stand out or get the video or the photo for the Instagram, things like that. So what are the current trends that you're seeing right now in the wedding industry?
We're Midwest. We're probably a year behind the coast when things come in. I mean, we are Midwest. We're still doing barns, that kind of thing. But some of the biggest trends are the social media content creators that people are hiring for their weddings, which good for them, I guess. If you want to create all this social media content for your wedding, I think that's great. But what I really like is when my couple does something very personal. Like
Mm.
I've done weddings at a park that meant a lot to them, where we
Yeah.
hauled in all the generators and the water and tents and all that kind of stuff because they loved that park. They spent a lot of time there and that kind of stuff. Bringing in special foods, having somebody paint. And so I've got a gal that does watercolor paint, and she'll paint the live scenes and special music and, guitarists and quartets, all those kind of special things that do mean a lot to the couple. I think that's really important. As far as trends, a lot of greenery still, a lot of bringing the outside in. Simple. I love simple greenery and just, simplicity is really great. There's a lot of beautiful venues and we don't have to do a lot. We can really use what's there. Outdoor weddings are never going to go away, unfortunately. I do love outdoor weddings. I hate the weather stress of, of an
We live in the Midwest, so hard.
We don't have many good months for outdoor weddings.
No.
And if you're going to get married in the spring, it's probably going to rain. So we have to have backup
100%.
plans. But outdoor weddings are super strong still. But smaller weddings, since COVID, everything's gotten so much smaller. So my typical wedding, it seems like this year is between 100 and 150. So
that's great.
Much smaller than I ever had before.
Yeah. I feel like whenever I ask a bride or like whenever it comes up, like what was your biggest regret or what's something you would change, it's always the amount of people, right? I feel like that's a big thing.
Yeah, we can have a much nicer event for a smaller amount of people. And, before COVID, we had typically it was 350 people, 350 guests.
Right.
And we're not going anywhere near that anymore. Hard.
Right.
It is
you can't
a lot.
Talk to everyone. Also that.
$1,000 for a wedding.
Absolutely, at least. Right. For one day.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The costs here are so much more affordable than the cost, in Chicago or even further east. So.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. So what are some trends then that you're loving right now? And what are trends that you wish would go away?
I love the simplicity. I love simple. I love candles. I love all that, bring that outdoors in. I kind of wish mason jars and burlap would go away.
Okay. It's like 2009-ish, right?
I know. Let's kind of get rid of that. I'm glad we don't really do receiving lines anymore.
Totally.
That is something that COVID really got rid of, and I love the fact that we don't do that.
Very true.
Receiving lines were just weird. I mean, I had a receiving line for my wedding. I was hugging people I didn't even know. I was, it was weird.
Kind of like funeral-esque too, and you don't want that at a wedding.
I know. So we don't really do that anymore, and I really try to not have all of that. But just changing the ceremonies up or the receptions up to fit my clients, Maybe we don't want to have a party. Maybe we want to do a big trivia night or, so what do you want to do? I always go to them and it's like, what's important to you? Is a party important to you? Or, what is important? And let's figure it out from there.
Love that. Yeah, that's very, very important to not plan your wedding, but plan your couple's wedding, right? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of ideas that wouldn't be right for the couple. So I guess going off of that kind of then, what would be like the main advice that you would offer couples just starting out planning their weddings?
Well, hire a wedding planner.
Yes.
You don't have to hire a full service wedding planner. You can hire. I specialize in month-of coordination.
Okay.
So I have kind of turned that page. I offer full service. I offer all of those. But I find that my clients, especially here in the Midwest, or the clients that I get anyway, want to do a lot of that work themselves, which is great. And I just guide them along from the very beginning. From the time they sign the contract, I am guiding them along. So I would suggest you hire somebody that is maybe certified, right? That has actually taken training, that knows what they're doing. You get what you pay for, right?
Definitely. For all vendors.
For all vendors, right.
Yeah.
Don't hire a club DJ. They're not going to be able to run your wedding, and I know that. Don't make sure that you read all your contracts. Make sure you have somebody else read all those contracts. Make sure that you have somebody proofreading all of your invitation suites. I had a couple years ago, I had a client, and mom didn't tell me she was going to do programs. I had no idea programs were going to be done. She didn't get a date from her other daughter.
Jeez.
So I read all my clients' contracts. I read their invitation suites. I vet all their clients, or all their vendors, all their vendors, because we want the best vendors for them. And it doesn't have to be expensive. We just want the best vendors. Yeah. Club DJ is not going to be able to do your wedding.
MC, right?
Yeah, they're fantastic, but this is not going to be able to do what a wedding DJ can do. You know, so you really need to kind of look at that, even though, and try to hire somebody professional, licensed, you know, that sort of thing. Because you just don't want to get a crappy photographer just because, their pictures are pretty. Make sure that you do really vet those people.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
That'd be my biggest.
That's great advice.
Be careful on who you're hiring.
Yep. Yeah, and have, those people there that double, triple check for you, that back you up. That's great.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it was so important.
Right. I feel like
always
go ahead.
overlooked.
Oh, yes. I bet. I feel like I've just noticed that a lot of venues are requiring planners now. Are you seeing that in Iowa?
Yes. Yeah, more and more venues, because it makes their job easier.
Yeah.
Right? A venue coordinator is not a wedding planner.
Right.
They should not be your wedding planner. There's some venues that say, well, you don't need a wedding planner because we can do that. No, they can't.
Nope.
They're not going to do the timeline.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, they're not going to come and do your rehearsal. They're not going to call all your vendors. They need to, then their job's super important. Don't get me wrong. I couldn't do it without them.
Right.
Their job's super important. My job is to make their job easier.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Everyone needs to focus on what they should be focusing on and be able to do that, right?
Yeah, do your job and do it great. There's a lot of great venues, and they run it very well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good. And that's obviously great for the planning industry as well, right?
Yeah, it is.
Great. Well, let's dive a little bit more into your business specifically. So I want to know, I know you said you have a few different types of packages and whatnot. So tell me a little bit about those packages and your planning process as well.
So like I said earlier, I have kind of switched lanes into month of coordination. People think that means that, well, she's not even going to talk to me until a month out, which is not true. As soon as they sign the contract, then I am giving them monthly. I'm contacting them monthly to see, are we checking everything off? Are we getting everything done? So that's pretty much my basic package now, is that month of coordination. Of course, it all includes day of. Day of does not exist.
What do you mean by that?
So you can't hire somebody to just come in for the day.
Right? They would have no idea.
We are not clairvoyant. We cannot automatically know what's going on. So you really do need somebody from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is somebody full service, that's great. My basic package, which is month of coordination, it includes everything from meetings and meetings with vendors and all these little things, but the clients are doing the bulk of the work.
Sure. They've got
Right.
pretty much everything booked by then.
Giving them a list of DJs. Hey, go check these guys out, and see which ones you might like. You want to have a DJ that I don't have on my list? You can't hire them until I vet them because I want to make sure that they're a good DJ. I'm reading your contracts. I'm reading all of your invitation suite. I am making sure that everything's checked off, all the boxes. Now, from there, we can go into, we can add on. We can add on design because I am design certified. So I can design, I can do floor plans, I can do all those sort of things. So, we can add design on. If you need somebody to tear down at the end of the night, we can certainly tear down at the end of the night.
That's when your daughters come into play.
Yeah, they don't like. Yeah, so we do tear down at the end of the night and all those kind of things. If we need extensive setup, we can do that also. So setup does include, there is setup in my packages, but so from the time they sign the contract, we're doing meetings and Zoom meetings or coffee meetings, and I'm starting that timeline. So I do a detailed timeline for every one of my clients. And I do contact every vendor and make sure that the timeline works for them. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, so and then I just build my packages around my clients' needs.
Okay.
So
kind of like a la carte options as well.
Yeah, there are. A lot of people are tired at the end of the day and they don't want to have to worry about cleaning up. And so if that's something that they want to add on, they certainly can. Or I have had clients that said, I don't know how to do room blocks. How do I do that? Where do I even start? Well, we can do those. We can help with that. So I can guide them on just about anything that they need.
That's nice. Yeah, that's really good to kind of be able to pick and choose on a scale of exactly, what couples need, because it's always going to be different.
Right.
Now, what do you think makes you stand out and your company stand out, compared to others?
Well, I am small business, right? It's me and always an assistant on the day of. I'm not a big company. I do one wedding a weekend.
Okay.
I cannot do more than one. I will not do more than one. I devote that weekend to my clients, right? So I don't have a team of planners, that go around and, I'm not big, is what I'm trying to say. So I do one wedding a weekend, and I try not to do more than 2 weddings a month. I still would like to have some sort of social life myself. And
right.
I feel like
very true.
I just really, especially at my age, starting to slow down just a little bit. But I just really want to make sure that I'm giving my clients the very best experience that they can have. And that is just limiting how many clients I take.
Yep. I think that's really important.
I'm constantly seeking more education and doing all that too. So I love to learn. I'm constantly learning and signing up. If there's some sort of class I can take, I'm taking it because I love to do that. Yeah.
And it's so necessary because it is such an ever evolving industry, every aspect of it, right?
It is. Yeah. It makes me more knowledgeable. I have a girlfriend that owns a flower shop. I worked for her for a year just so I had more knowledge about flowers. Because,
absolutely.
Everything helps. But yeah.
That's awesome. Sounds fun too.
Well, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Oh, well, great. So where can everybody find you if they want more information? Social media, website, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So you can go to my website, which is Events to Celebrate, and that's the number 2, celebrate, eventstocelebrate.net. It's easy. My email is becky@eventstocelebrate.net. My social media handles is Events to Celebrate with the number 2, always the number 2. I just thought that would make it easier than to spell it out. So yeah, social media, email, right to my website. There's a sign up right there on my website. And I do Instagram and Facebook. I have a hard time just keeping up with those 2. I
agree. TikTok is too much.
Oh my. I think so many times I probably need my own social media content creator.
100%.
It is a lot trying to run a business and then also trying to keep up with the social media. So I'm not great at it. So
sometimes, after you worked a full wedding, that's like the last thing you want to do, right?
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, great. Anything you'd like to add? Anything else you feel we missed?
No, just enjoy. So it's so important to enjoy the day. I tell my clients, just take it all in and don't let it pass by too quickly. If you can, for anybody out there that's going to get married, that is planning a wedding, on the day of, if you can spend 10 minutes alone between the ceremony and the reception and just hang out with each other, go to a wet bridal suite, just steal a moment somewhere, and just think about the day and enjoy it. I mean, it goes so fast. Yeah. And before you know it, it's over and you didn't enjoy it. So try to really take it in and spend that special time together. Yeah.
Love that. I had the chills from that. That's great advice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Becky. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
It was fun. That's all good. You did great. I'm going to stop it now.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Eventful Endeavors, Secrets to Crafting the Perfect Celebration. We hope to have left you with some actionable ideas for your own event. If you like the show, please subscribe and definitely leave us a review. We read every comment. So until next time, happy planning and see you soon on Eventful Endeavors.